Maaf ya Pak. Francis, do you have any additional comment?
Well, I thought I heard the word moratorium, but I might have mistaken it. But I think that if there's going to be a 5-year anything, it has to be before it's released, because the thing about a gene drive is it's irreversible. And the World Health Organization themselves have a policy on gene drives, which is that they should be trialed only in steps. And those steps that they're referring to is on islands first, not continents. So we are a test bed, and I think we should have a moratorium. There's lots of conservation groups that say we should. And also, when said about interested in the science, I think it would be very important to have have that science presentation. Would love that, because then we'd know that they were taking responsibility for the science. And then there's a lot of talk about the implementers. So there seems to be a passing around of who is going to take responsibility. And also we're frightened, because the thing about dengue and the thing about microorganisms and organisms that have been that are so easy to spread is that they have been used as a bioweapon. And that was in the title. That's why I bring it up now. And actually, dengue was used as a bioweapon against Cuba 30 years ago. And now we have a situation where it fits all the bills. You know, it's what it's called a dual use research of concern. So we're funding it, we're bigging it up, and it's brilliant. Everyone's putting all their best minds to it. And the reality is that there's dual use. There's all those fundings are from people, from corporate incentives and from military objectives, but the front is always health or of benefit to society. So the risk is that we're just naive about what is happening and why it's happening. There is very, very close down the line an amendment being made to the World Health Organization by them, suggested by them, and to be implemented by them, that they make the decisions from here on in about what is released where, what is implemented, what health measures, what vaccines in particular. And all these things are written down. It's not an illusion. We've got a certain amount of months before that's ratified. And what will actually have happened in reality is we'll have given up our choices. We'll have given up our choices to decide, no, we don't want that in Bali, or no, we actually need somebody to answer for why there's so many need to be released when a gene drive can happen in a matter of weeks. Before, it has to happen before, and we have to look at the World Health Organization, because if we don't make that choice now, they're going to be making all those choices. They could release anything they want on us for whatever reason. And the great thing about dual use research of concern is that it's all protected. It's protected for biosafety reasons. You know, it might be a danger. It could get into the hands of a bad actor, they say, or patenting. You know, it's a very useful thing. Even the Wolbachia has an IP, an intellectual property to it that is being used by the World Mosquito program. So I think it is important, those things, not to be naive, that it's all for our health. There's a lot of money involved. It has been misused before. There isn't any precedent. And we can use all sorts of things to stop it. The moratorium for a lot of different reasons, and also the Our House Convention, which says that is a legal instrument that we can use. Basically, it grants the public rights regarding access to information, participation, access to justice, in terms of the environment and in terms of everything. And it's also going to give a huge amount of control over what happens here. What if it does go wrong, and then there's a new decision that we have to take some other measure? So there was the other real red alert, and I will stop talking after this, is that they said, oh, it's economical. economical in comparison to a vaccine. So they're passing this idea that we've got two choices, vaccine or vector. And that's not the case at all. Neither of those are particularly useful in these situations, but they're all big money-making situations. And also, I believe that this funding, and there's evidence to prove this as well, because 2003, just the year before Jojo Carter got funding to start, there was a lot of funding and there was a plan. Well, there was a lot of plans that the Bill Gates Foundation put out. They call them global challenges to health. But there's a lot of money being put into this, hundreds of billions, and in Bali money. And the situation is that, the situation is that when that much money is involved, it can hardly be called economical. The only way it's economical is in military terms, where they say on more than one document that the most economical weapon is a bioweapon, because it only costs something like $1 per kilometer, whereas every other sort of control mechanism, weaponization, involves a lot more money. So that's the only sense it's economical. It's a lot of money. And I also believe, which is really tragic and kind of hurtful and very difficult to deal with, and I think, Richard, you've dealt with it brilliantly, is that everybody has put their absolute amazing genius into creating this thing, but what they've also created at the same time, unfortunately, is some sort of manufactured consent by the whole of Indonesia to accept these things, whatever they might lead to.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you.